Thank you, everybody, for joining. My name is John. I am a Principal Customer Success Engineer over at ShareFile, now under progress. Today, we are going to hit on a lot of things that will help you prepare for a busy season that is tech season. So I'm sure most of you are in the accounting industry here, but if you're not, obviously, we're going to be touching on a lot of different things that could help you in the new year coming up. So just a little bit about myself. Again, my name is John. I've been with ShareFile for about 8 years now. I've been everything from support to pre-sales, now helping people adopt ShareFile. So that's the customer success engineering role. And I am joined here with Stacy, an awesome colleague of mine, and I'll let her introduce herself. Stacy?
Yeah, thanks, JB. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar today. Thanks for joining us. We really do appreciate your time. My name is Stacy Schrader. I am the lead product marketing manager here at ShareFile. Some background on me. I've been here nearly 5 years. I've really worked on pretty much everything inside of ShareFile, but where I focus now on is client workflows inside of ShareFile. And I also represent the accounting profession inside of the product as well. So I'm working alongside the product team to ensure that we're representing your needs and wants out of the product that fit into your workflows in the accounting industry. But we will go ahead and get started. We do have a few slides before we jump into the demo, and we have the agenda as well. So first, we're going to talk about 3 key areas. I think some of these 3 areas you probably recognize is something that you're always trying to do is minimizing admin work, handling more engagements as you bring on more business, but trying to keep your staff around the same mark, and then simplifying client touchpoints as well. And each between these 3 buckets, you'll see some features that we'll be highlighting today through the demo. These key features are just some helpful tips where we see our customers in the accounting industry utilizing today to help them minimize admin work, handle more engagements, and simplify client touchpoints. So I will review these features quickly if we want to move on to the next slide. Under minimize admin work, we do realize that a lot of low value work goes on in an accounting firm, mostly around a lot of the small businesses. That can really be taxing for your time, especially when you only have a few staff to handle your business and still trying to grow it at the same time. We see that it can cost up to 120 working days per year of your total manpower, which really can extend less time that's being spent on your clients and more time on that low value work. So it's not really going to be a big experience on your customers. How ShareFile can help is through these 3 key areas of our features that we have inside of the product. First being projects. If you haven't utilized this yet, it's one of our newer features that we've released in the past couple of years that can really help you organize client-related work inside of ShareFile. So if you want to keep it in a containerized space, and that can include collecting any client information through forms, collecting, of course, documents that you need from your clients and data that really make the organization of a service with a client a lot easier. Document request list is also something we'll review today. If you haven't utilized that yet, it also lives inside of projects. You'll be able to collect a list of files from your clients, of course, that you need usually to service in a tax service during the season. We'll make that really a lot more efficient and easier and, of course, very, very secure inside of ShareFile. And then lastly, we're going to touch on a brand new feature today that actually just released a couple hours ago inside of your environment if you have a premium plan and above. This is our 3rd AI feature inside of ShareFile called AI-powered document summarization. This will be something that you'll utilize heavily if you work on audit services. So think of all those documents that you have that are pages and pages and pages long that take a long time to read through. When you really just need to pull some information out of it or some key insights, you'll be able to do that now with our document summarization feature. And we'll show you what that looks like in the demo as well. Can move on to the next slide. We'll also go through how we can help you handle more engagements during the season. we still see in the profession that staffing and retention is still an industry and profession problem. And a lot of that relies in where you turn to in technology. So, how you utilize to boost efficiency with your own staff and manage the workloads they do have so they can take on more clients and engagements without really needing that extra staff that you would need to hire. How we can help you with this is our new solution, which handles individual and federal and business tax preparation. So that will help you standardize and unify those services like individual tax preparation with a client from the end to end, from onboarding all the way to signing those 8879s with those clients. If you haven't seen this feature yet, it's something that more and more of our customers are starting to utilize. And in October, we had some new updates to this feature. So if you visited this feature earlier this year and it didn't have a certain capability, it's a great time to revisit this before you get into busy season. And that is something that will be in our industry advantage and up plan. If you do not have that plan today, you do have the capability to trial it inside of your own environment or go on to our website as well to take a free trial. And then lastly, we'll cover ways to simplify client touchpoints. We realize that a lot of your internal workflows can also really touch your client experience as well without realizing it. So really focusing on efficiency of your internal processes that really touch those clients can really accelerate how you're getting your work done, not only internally, but with your clients too. So how ShareFile can help, if you haven't utilized some of these features, we'll showcase them in a couple of different ways. But integrated e-signature, this is where we unified our Right Signature e-signature tool into ShareFile to be a native experience. So you'll be able to send engagement letters and other agreements right from one spot inside of ShareFile where all of your files are living. And we also have knowledge-based authentication included inside of our e-signature tool. So you won't have to outsource for that either. And then our request links. This is sort of like a helpful tip that we see some customers taking advantage of that can be really helpful with one-off documents that you're getting from clients or external parties that can be used to really strengthen your security. So some file drop links that you can add into maybe your email signature or your website to really improve that ease of use with your clients. But I have done enough talking, so we are going to move into the demo where you can see all of those things, where they live inside of ShareFile and how they can add value.
Yeah.
Take it away, JB.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Stacey. Really good information. Again, this is all being recorded, so definitely go back to some of these slides, or at least listen to them again, because I think it's really valuable, especially going into the new year, just kind of realizing what could be missing in some of your processes. This is pretty much the goal of today, and making sure you realize what you have in terms of power of filling those gaps. All right, so we have a lot to go over. There's so much to kind of talk about here. I'm not going to double click on everything, but to Stacy's point, I want to highlight some of the more key things that could really help save some time during this busy season and assure that, of course, you get your work done faster. So I'm starting off as an employee, and as you can see, I have it highlighted up here because I may jump between the client experience because I did want to offer a glimpse of what your clients are going to see. I think that's always important, especially in the accounting industry or the vertical. You're always obviously dealing with various different clients and their know-how, and we wanted to make that a very enjoyable, easy experience for them. So I'm going to shift a little bit of the gears here once I do initiate some things within a project that I showed today to show what the client is going to experience. So let's jump into it. Today, I'm going to use an example of a financial audit. You might be thinking, well, we're doing taxes mainly, right? But, we wanted to take another way of looking at this in terms of using projects in a way that is more meaningful, because it's not just taxes, right? We're not just wanting to collect data or say tax information. We may need to understand everything that there is about your client in terms of their financial position. So that's where a financial audit comes into play. So So to Stacy's point, as she pointed out, a project is a way to containerize that intake of data. If you're used to ShareFile and hey, you have a simple folder, I upload things to it, great. It's a very easy, smooth process. But what if you need to take it to the next level? What if you need to have tasks and reminders and ways to connect better with the actual client that you're working with? That's where projects comes into play. Now, if you're walking through with me today, you can always kind of walk through to kind of get a glimpse if you haven't started a project and creating one yourself. You'll see the create project option up here, so you could click on that. And we do have two options. You could start a blank one, which is great. You could start fresh, or you could start it from a template, which I'm going to talk a little bit about templates today, because obviously you don't want to create a blank project every time you're working with a client if you need that same information, right? So projects has ways to templatize things to easily drum up a new project and start sharing or collaborating with the client without starting from scratch. But if you want to start with me, you could simply start by creating a name for the project, something handy. Um, Again, for this, I'm just going to put in test, and you can always put a description there so you know what's going on. But from here, as you can see, you have a full palette of what you're actually going to be able to do. But with that said, I'm going to jump into the one that I already created. And in this case, I'm working with a client named John Smith. Very common name, right? But hey, he could be a real person, and I could be an accounting firm, and I'm bringing in John Smith as a client. But first, again, before doing his taxes, I need to do an audit in where he is with his finances. It could be that he owns a company. It could just be for personal finance reasons. All kinds of things can be actually, really kind of brought into projects to collectively ask all these different things of the client, and again, bring that into a containerized way aside from just a folder. So when I created this project in mind, I needed information from John Smith. I needed a ton of different documents. I needed different surveys and forms from him from just collecting information to be sure it's current. And I might have other tasks that I might need to keep on task with him. So as you can see, when I first start out, I have a very nice overview of a couple different things. Document requests, these are documents that I'm requesting of the client that they need to fulfill. I have a file section. So these are all the files collectively I have gotten from John Smith already. So it's a nice space where I can create folders within a project to help nest or organize data a lot easier. And as you can see here, I have a way of commenting or looking at comments. So instead of just passing emails back and forth, I could communicate with John Smith directly in this project without leaving and answering an email from him. So that's very handy, but this is kind of the 360 view of your project when you first come to the homepage. So let's just talk real quick about each one of these tabs, but I want to get more into the document request because I do feel that is really the natural go-to when we're dealing with a project is that document intake. That's really meaningful. But to start out, I have a task section. Here I can create different tasks that I need either my client to do. As you can see, I have assigned a task for John Smith to do. He needs to calculate his monthly income to be sure that's on par. But I have other things that I need to do myself in terms of reviewing John Smith's information, such as reviewing his tax filings perhaps in the past. That's a task. Of course, reviewing emergency funds, being sure his finances are in the right order, being sure he's set up for success. And then, editing a document request to include years past information to be sure I'm collecting and have everything ready, say, if I am going to do his taxes this year. So as you can see, it's very task-based. You have statuses that you can create. You can create new tasks where you have due dates, and those reminders go out automatically to the client and myself to be sure, again, I am completing those tasks on time. So document request is one of the key features in projects. I can create subsets of document requests within a project so that it doesn't just need to be one set of documents. I can have subsets of document requests. So if I want to organize it a little easier in terms of a year, perhaps, or if there was a company that he owned and I need particular documents from his company that he owns, that I can separate into different document requests. But when I click into the document request, as you can see here, I already have a set of details or items that John Smith needs to upload to me, along with the status of those different requests. And you do have a bit of a 360 view as well at the top here in terms of what items are still open, or what I can do is set these ones to review, like I'm reviewing the documents that John Smith is actually sending me. And if that document is correct, I can approve that item so I know that one is good. And then you have a nice, of course, progress bar down here to know where we're at in terms of what John Smith has given to me already. So let's take an income statement from 2023. I needed a year or so ago of a financial statement. As you can see, this request already went over to the client himself. And that was then uploaded, the document as a PDF, into that request. Now, I wanted to shift gears very quickly and showcase what that looks like on John Smith's side. So everything is done by email notification. So when I did assign him different document requests or whatnot, he will get an email just like this task that I sent him. And now beforehand, obviously, he did have to sign up as a client. Again, just saving a little bit of time here on our demo. But once he actually created, or myself, I created him as a client within the project, or if he was already done in ShareFile, he already has a login. So when he gets these notifications, he can simply click on the view task, and it's going to take him directly to the task in question here. Now, right off the bat, you could see that it's a little different from the client experience. And that is the point here. We wanted to make that client experience a lot more fluid, a lot easier for the client to jump in, get things done, and get out quickly. So for that purpose, as you see, here's all the different requests that I've given to John. And all this information obviously is needed for us to complete everything that I need for him. But if he was to click in one of these, he could simply click one, and as you could see, he could just add files, or he could drag and drop files into here if he wanted to. And again, that comment section when we were talking about, which I'll demonstrate how that looks over there. But John Smith can comment in here if there wasn't a good description, or if he needed more information about it, he can talk directly through the comment section here with me. So it's a fairly easy setup, as you could see. Once he actually is in there, he could see the open task on the projects he has with me. He could see completed tasks, things that he has done already. And then any files that are particular to the project. And as you can see, if he's part of multiple projects, he can come in and choose the one that I tell him that we're working on currently. So see that he has the set of files that I've already uploaded to the project, which I'll get to in a bit here. But he has a full view of the project itself, what he needs to complete, and nothing else. That's the point of the project for the client. It's giving them set tasks to do and complete in an easy form. And again, it's not the same employee experience where he has a lot of different options that you would need to actually navigate through. So just wanted to showcase a couple other pieces in the client experience. Is that as you can see off to the right, he does have files that he's recently viewed. So he could click on that PDF. That was a part of tax information I was sending him. So you could easily preview those PDFs from here. He could set up favorites. So if there was a folder that I assigned him to outside of a project, he has access to that folder as well. Also, if I shared anything with him via email within ShareFile, all of that is in his inbox. So you could see that file in here. So if he needs to go back and say, hey, I forgot, I know you sent me something in a share, but let me come back and I need to actually see what he sent me. So you do have your own personalized inbox. And then finally, he has a tax return section. We'll come back to this section once we get over to the tax solution. But as you could see, if I was doing taxes with him and we're using our industry advantage on that tax solution, he does have a separate section on here that he can navigate to. But very easy in terms of navigating here. He could see all of his different notifications. If he has tasks that are due and overdue, as you see, he has plenty of things to do here. But he could click on them and jump into those tasks if he needed to. But very smooth, very easy way for John Smith to collaborate with me. But now going back over to the employee experience, like I showed you, I've shared these document requests to John. He got them via email. He was able to jump in easily to the portal and go to those different tasks and upload a file based on what I need. Just for this one example here, he did send me a financial statement, that PDF that I needed to collect all that information. And I can actually click on that document and review it myself if I wanted to and see what all that information entails and see if all that information is correct based on his income. And I can also download it from ShareFile if I needed to do any other kind of processing outside of ShareFile, but you have that capability. I could also see that comment. Remember that comment section that we had? John Smith said, hey, it looks like it's complete, but can you check it for me? He just wants me to validate, hey, I'm pretty sure everything's done here, but I want you to take a second gander at it and be sure that that's all that's needed here. So if I took it upon myself to review this, everything looks good. I can now approve that item. And as you can see, the status of my document request has been approved. And I could continue kind of going down the list here of what I need to actually check. So as you can see, again, very simple way to create that document request, be able to actually send that out to John Smith. He gets it via email. He's able to log into his client account, upload what he needs, and continue on as we go through his audit. So now you might be saying, hey, what are some other ways? It can't be that I need to fill this out every time if I need to request something from a client. No, that's the good piece here is we have different ways of being able to create different requests for documents. And down here on or up at top right, we have a way to, first off, we could do a blank document request. And again, we could just go through the test here, find my typo there. I could set a due date for when those document requests are needed, and I can create per line, or I can actually import a list like I have here. I have a simple Excel having two columns on the request item and the description. It'll give me a preview, and that will create a new set of document requests. And that's it. After that, I could simply share that request out to John Smith. So we see his name here. And then we can also set permissions in what he can actually do within the project. We do have subsets of different permissions for the client to be able to assign to, or we could come into the customize section here, and we could actually toggle on or off different capabilities that the client can do. So, hey, if it might be very stringent here, I only want him to be able to view the document request, even though that's probably not worthy of obviously our time here. But as you can see, we can provide custom permissions in what this client can do within the document request itself. So very much a way to help, guide the client if they don't want them to do certain things in the document request. You can limit those things for him as well. So again, going through back here, we do have a way also to bring in this in as a template. So if I did have this financial request that was perfect here, I love it. I want to redo this every time I need to do a financial audit on a client. I can save this as a template. Sorry. And I can name this uniquely, not just John Smith, but this can be just financial audit document request. And I can create that template. So if I'm starting a new project from scratch and I don't want to set a particular template because there might be various other information that I need, I can grind this down so that I can just import that document request from a template. And there's that template that I have with all the requests that I've already done with John Smith. That's not going to carry over any of John Smith's information that he uploaded, so just be aware of that. It's only just going to include the item and description and what is going to be requested from the person you're working with. And then finally, I wanted to show you a great way of using AI here. So we could just set this up as a name, just as a request name. And again, we always need don't always need one, but I want to set a due date here. And then this gives a bit of generative AI in terms of looking for different industries that I'm working in, such as in accounting, and say my role is an auditor, and then I could start putting in different bullet points of what I need to request from the client. So again, I might not know everything I need. This is an easy way to see about getting some document requests that I know I may need, and this may help me. So I could say personal company audits, and then personal tax information, and I can have that help generate these items for me. And that's going to do its work in the back end. And that's going to help generate a list of different requirements that I need from the client to request information from. So as you can see, we have three different ways to be able to create those document requests, either from a blank way of doing it and uploading an Excel sheet if you already have something already created on the side, or just start from scratch. We could use a template that we already used. And as you can see here, we could generate an AI list of different points that may be required to do and a successful financial audit for the client himself. And when I create that request, just like I did before, that will create that new document request, and then I could share it out to John Smith to complete. So that's going to take a second to complete there. And then as you can see here, now I have my requests, and then I could share the request to John Smith as I showed you before. So again, a great way of really, again, collecting meaningful information, not just, hey, send me this file here and there. This keeps the client on task. They know what they need to do when they log into their client portal into ShareFile. So it's a very quick, easy way to really just keep things on task and on point. So next, I wanted to talk about information requests. This is an easy way to create a form or a survey for gathering information. If, say, for instance, it's not a document, right? It could just be I needed personal information from John Smith to be sure that is correct on file. So I could create a new information request, but again, sake of time, I created one to help collect personal information from John. And as you can see here, when I created it so that it had today's dates. I needed his full legal name. I needed his current home address and his birthday, his marital status. And then also, if there was any additional information that I might need to know about him. And as you can see, he changed jobs halfway through 2024. So that's really good information to know. This can be very lengthy in terms of survey or very short, but it is a great way to collect that information more meaningful within the project itself, and it's all containerized within here. So again, you're not just scratching down on a piece of paper, all this information and putting into another system. All this can be collected within the project. Finally, we have the file section. As you can see here, this is nested different folders and information that we've gathered already, documents that I might have uploaded for John Smith to review, or as you can see, my document requests that I have here. I could click in and see what files are available. And as you can see, it's neatly placed within different folders. So I believe we have one item in, that different financial audits that we have per year. We'd see that file. Again, I can easily download that. I can share this also. If you're used to sharing items within ShareFile, I can create a simple share link from it. If I needed to send it to somebody for, again, another approval or for other means or other reasons. And I can also perform exporting. We do have a library of different integrations. So if you need that file into a different system, we do have different integrations, which I will show you our cataloging different integrations available today. But again, very easy way for us to organize that data. I have the capability of creating new folders if I wanted to. So as you can see, I could create a new folder for additional documents as you see here. And as you can see, I have just some basic forms like engagement letters or different forms like my 1040 form, or if I had an NDA that he needed to review. All of this can be separated. It didn't necessarily need to be a document request, right? But at least if I needed to share these documents within the project, again, he doesn't have to go out of the project to go to a folder to be able to retrieve that data. Everything's contained within the project itself. So I think it's really important. As you see, we keep the essence of ShareFile as it is with folders and sharing links. We've integrated that in the projects to make a very easy, seamless interaction. And then lastly, we have a comment section here where we can again look at all of the different comments that were done within the project. So this is more of a collective way of doing it. But I can also write a comment in here, and then John Smith can actually review those comments within his own client portal when he logs in. So lastly, you can create a new tab here. Won't get too much into this, but this is an additional tab that you can create with a table view. So if this one we could call taxes, you can create a table just kind of like an Excel or a presentation, if you will, of different information within this table. Very handy if you're organizing data or you're structuring data. It's a nice way to be able to do that. Again, a little bit more time on this one that we don't have today, but definitely check this out because I think it's really helpful in structuring data if you need to present something to the client when you're collaborating with them. So finally, if, say, for instance, and I showed you this before, I could create templates from a lot of these different subcategories, like my document requests. But say, for instance, I set this up for success and it's really worked with John Smith and had a really good, successful financial audit. I want to redo this every time for all my clients that I'm onboarding. So instead of just doing a document request and creating a template there, I can always create a template from the project itself. Again, this is not saving any of the personal information John Smith has uploaded. This is saving things like the document requests, the information request, and so forth, so that I can easily create a project again and use this as a template. And as you can see, I could just aptly name this, give it description, and I can create that template. So now I can, oh, believe I actually already have one named that. So that's why it's giving me a little error there. But if you ever wanted to also share your templates out, you do have a template section here. And if you could come down to your categories, I can go to projects and I could see the different ones that I have created already as templates. And if I wanted to, I could click on there and I can manage access. And I could actually share this to another employee that's in my ShareFile account itself. So I have another John in here. I could send it to this account here, and then they would be able to access that template and use it themselves. So that's very handy as well. If you have a useful template, you say to your associate, oh, I have something ready for you already. Don't need to double up the work. Again, that's a good time saver. All right, one thing I wanted to show you, which is not yet in projects. We're hoping to have this by end of week. Am I right, Stacy, in terms of our AI summarization?
Yes, that will be added by the end of the week, if not sooner.
Awesome. I wanted to show you this just in our legacy folder here. Let me just that. Actually, let me come in and sort this out. To Stacy's point, when she was talking about the slides, we just came out with a new AI document summarizer. And it's an easy way to summarize lengthy documents. This is a good one that I have already done. This is a tax expenditures for the fiscal year of 2024. It's a ton of, I'm sure, boring information, but it's very vital for us to review to be sure that nothing has changed in terms of these different expenditures. So it's very valuable information that I have to review. But again, perhaps I don't have time to go through 33 pages of this. So I have a nice little option up here to summarize with AI. So as you can see, it doesn't have a summary yet. So if I summarize, it'll start to do its thinking. And there we go. Voila, I have a summarization of my documents. As you can see, it's grinded this down to maybe a page of information here and has really kind of extruded a lot of the more important information. A really good asset to this also is that it does have references. So if there was any references that were talked about within this document, I can click on that reference number and it will give me a description of that reference in a more digestible way. So really, again, a key way of large files that you're looking at that are pretty extensive in terms of wording. It can help summarize these in a little easier way. So check that out. Again, right now it is only available within, like, say, your different legacy folders, your shared folders, if you will. It will be presented within projects soon, as Stacey noted. So if you're in a project and say you're in your file section here and you're previewing, say, one of these forms, you will see up at the top soon enough the summarization as well. So you don't have to go and take this out of the projects and so forth. So, all right, so let's skip over to our tax solution. Um, as you can see here, I have a separate tax line. It's not a part of project. So if you are on the Industry Advantage solution that we have, you will see this as a separate solution on the left-hand side. And if you do have that solution already and you don't see it, you could go up at the top right in our catalog. And our catalog contains not just the solutions, but it has other things like templates, such as I showed you there. I created my own template for my project. We do have other templates you could use and download as well. I talked a little bit about those integrations where you can export data into different other software. We have integrations that you can install within your ShareFile instance as well, so you have that as well. But if you're in the Industry Advantage and you want to follow through with that tax solution, you'll see under Solutions, you'll see the one here that says Income Tax Return. As you can see, I've already installed it, so that install doesn't show. I actually have to update it. So we do periodically come with updates to these different solutions. So if you do see an update, be sure you're on the latest. I'm not going to update it now that I'm on here live doing this. But if I don't have update, you would also see an uninstall option in case that was installed and you don't need it anymore. But once I install it, you'll see that tax solution pop up on the left-hand side. And again, this is a very appointed solution, right? This is if you're dealing with individual tax returns for individuals within the US. So if I see here now, I've created one for John Smith, but you can create an engagement right by scratch here. Let this refresh. So once I actually do a create here, I have the template that I'm using for the individual tax solution. I can select my client. I already had John Smith selected, but if you already have a client in here, you could select it. You can also add a client. So if they're not a part of your ShareFile instance already, no need to back out. You can create that client from here, and they're going to get an email to note that they've created a client for them and to set up their account. And then we could select the year that we're doing for the tax return in terms of grabbing that information. So once you create the engagement, you'll see it listed here just like you would in a project. And when you open it up, the great solution here is that everything is pre-populated. I don't have to create a document request. I don't need to add in information requests. I have a questionnaire, as you can see, already created here for John Smith to fill out with really all the information that I would need for collecting taxes and all the different document requests that come included with it. The big thing, though, that you'll see a difference is I can also send an agreement to John Smith. So if you had say, a client agreement that you needed to have them agree on and sign, remember, you do have the integrated e-signing capability, but this is a really nice upgrade to the solution itself because as you can see, it creates an automated workflow here for you. And when I create that template, I already have that one already here for me. This is just a simple engagement agreement in terms of me working with the client. And it's just a simple agreement so that we have something on file with each other. You can change the template. If you wanted to use a different template, you can do that. But I can then simply send that agreement workflow to John Smith. And just as a reminder, when John Smith get that notification, it will pop up in his email. Just do a quick refresh. That should be actually coming in soon, but that will come in with the actual agreement workflow, and he'll go through the signing process, which I will show in a little bit if we have some time. But that is it. Once you actually send that agreement, you get that signed, good, we're ready to go, and he could start working on the different tasks, just like I showed you in the project itself. So a couple cool other things is the file section here. Once I started collecting all of these files, if I need to export this into a regular folder, like a shared folder, for any reason, say for archiving purposes, for other things outside the solution, I can export these documents to a folder. And particularly if I want to just say these returns, I could save it all to a folder, and then I can go back over to my traditional folder that I have and save those from the solution itself. Super handy, again, if you needed to save that into the individual folder for any reason possible for archiving, whatnot. It's a great way to be able to work with your traditional folders as you used to. So also, if I'm going to say I did my work, I did the return for them, and I need to share those out to the client, back out to them to show the work that I did, I can share those back out and create a share link or send them via email, and he will actually get them. These will show in the tax return tab. So it's a little easier to organize this. So if you did complete the tax returns, or if there again you needed to reshare something back to them once it's completed, then they will actually get them and they'll be stuck here within the different tab of tax return. Again, just jointly, if I was in as a client, I have my tax return section and I see the same thing on here in terms of those returns. And then again, I could preview them right from here. There's an example, it's not really filled out, but if it was, I could actually see, take a look, and know that it's there. And I could download it for my own purposes if I was a client, so that I have it for safekeeping as well. So, Stacy, anything to add here within the tax solution itself that is handy outside of those points?
Yeah, I see a lot of comments being asked about how they don't see this. This is in our industry advantage plan, so that's probably why you're not seeing it. But premium plans can also trial this out for 30 days. All you'll have to do is navigate to the catalog and then request to trial it. The master admin on your account will have to approve it before you can see it inside of your own environment. But that's how you would access that to start a trial. Alternatively, you can also go to sharefile.com and start a trial on our industry advantage plan. But I think the catalog and requesting a trial that way might be more impactful for your own environments.
Yep. Yeah. Very good point. And again, just to reiterate, the catalog does have several other things other than just tax solution. And again, to Stacy's point, you would see it here for trial. And again, you can navigate over to those different integrations that we have for exporting data outside of those projects and solutions. And then you also have the templates. So perfect. Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you very much, Stacy. All right, so let's wrap up. We have about 15 minutes, which is perfectly on point. I wanted to show two key things. Let's take it back to the basics. Now, this is kind of getting out of the premium realm. This is for advanced users or really any standard user within ShareFile. What if, say, for instance, you need just an easy way to collect data in a folder without having to go through projects? Maybe it's just a one-off document, or you want to have a link that all your clients can go access and upload to you very easily. So as you can see, I'm back at my dashboard, and I want to set up a request link. Now, again, a request link is people uploading something to you. So the first thing it's going to ask is, where do you want that data to go once the client uploads it to you? By default, you have a temporary spot called the file box. That's always going to default there. But for instance, I have that tax prep folder that I'm working with my client that had all the additional data that I sent to him or added in from the project or added to from the project. I can actually choose that location where that client's going to update that data. Or you can have kind of a catch-all folder, if you will, and add different people to that folder so that they can work with those clients if it's a collaboration between different associates within the same company. So for this instance, I'm just going to create a link. Instead of sending it via email, I'm going to create a link. And you can see I have my unique URL. So that's the URL that I'm going to post either in my signature, in my email, or on a website. But if I want this, say for instance, to never expire, so in case, as you could see, or if you're used to ShareFile, remember all of our share links, you have the capability of accessing, or I'm sorry, expiring links after a certain period of time. So you do have that option here. I forgot I don't have this option on mine. Mine's a little more customized, but you may see a never option on this list, depending on your different administrative actions that you've taken here. You may or may not see it, but the good thing is if you do see it, you could set it to never. So that means it's never going to expire. And then you could drop this down and choose who can access this link. So it just has a very small or short refresher. Remember, these two actions, meaning after they sign in, they can access the upload link and upload data. They would have to be required to log into their account first before they could do that. If you want to make it easy, you could choose the anonymous options. And within the anonymous options, that doesn't require them to create a client within ShareFile. But what I do say, and I like to use myself, is the anonymous option, but it's going to just at least ask them for their name and their email. This is really important because if you wanted to do an audit on the data that was uploaded or the folder, this will help at least give a little bit of a breadcrumb trail of who it was that uploaded that data to what. So I would say a good option would be the anonymous, so that don't require to have the client create it, but at least require them to put in some information. But if you don't want it, you can always just put anonymous. It's not going to ask them for information. It's just going to be a simple link for them to upload. As you see, I will warn you just for security purposes, just to keep you aware. But I can copy that and I could just send this to anybody, right? I could send this to Stacy and I say, Stacy, I need some files from you. Can you just hit that link and just drag and drop those files to me? I will be notified via email that Stacy uploaded those items to me, and I could go in that folder that I designated and see those files. So again, very simple way of getting a request link out there and posting it somewhere obvious where the clients can be able to navigate to easily and send you files.
Yeah, I would also add that this is great for like one-off files. So what JB showed a little bit earlier, the document request list for things that you already know you need from them that are very structured and you want to keep organized. That's a better tool for that. But one-off files, maybe from a client that you just need one document from and don't need the entire list to be sent to you, or it's just a missing document, you can just have them send it that way.
Yep, very good point. Yeah, I mean, think of that as well as maybe you gathered everything from the project and you closed the project, but you just want them to send you maybe one-off thing that you might have forgotten. It's a very easy way instead of going back to the project itself. It's a simple way of just getting something simple from them. All right. And the last thing we're going to talk about today is the e-signature functionality. Again, you'll see the signature thing button on the left-hand side. You can click on that and you will see all of the signatures that you've created or have sent out and what is actually pending. What I wanted to take approach of is that shared folder that I keep going back to, that tax prep client folder. And say, for instance, outside of the project or the solution, the tax solution option, I need to send them a very quick, say, agreement to get them onboarded aside from the project or the tax solution. I can simply check off this document that I've created just to show you. It's a very simple Word doc, just a very simple just way of getting an agreement and a signature from the client before you start working with them. But I can initiate a signature right from here. So I can check that document, send for signature. It's going to upload that document here. And then I could start putting in and typing the person's name that I need to send it to. So now again, this person, John Smith, doesn't necessarily need to be a client or doesn't have to have a client account within ShareFile for me to send it to them. I'm just using, of course, the client that's already in here. But if you haven't worked with somebody already, you could just put their name in and their email, and it will send to them, and they'll be able to actually sign that, even if they're not already a client within ShareFile. So this is very important to remember. You don't have to go through and follow up with that. It is nice to have the client already in there, but if, say, you're against time, you just need to get something signed real quick, very easy way just to put their name and email in, and you're ready to go. Now, you needed to add additional person, say, for instance, it's a spouse that they need a signature on it as well to continue. You can add additional people here. And then also, I can set the order of who signs when. So if John Smith needs to sign second to perhaps his wife, I can, of course, go ahead and set that order from here. And then I can go ahead and continue. By the way, I can add myself as well as a signer. So if there was a part, as you saw that document, I needed to sign this as well, I can sign this at the same time. So I don't need to go through the process or download it or print it and sign it again. So once that's done, I can come in here and I can start filling it out. And just for, again, simple reasons, I can just set these as signature sections. Oops, I put that in the wrong location. And I can actually continue to put that in with different texts that I need and a date. It's not allowing me to do that. There it goes. And then I can, again, put in different text. Very versatile. We could also do importing of fields if we wanted to. It can get very, say, deep in terms of what you need to add here in terms of information and attachments. I can add an attachment option. So if they need to add additional things to the signature, they can. Very versatile to this. But I need to just get a simple signature out. As you could say, see, I forgot an actual signature for myself. So it is intelligent to know if I'm in the signing order and I didn't put a signature field for myself, it will actually tell me, hey, you need to go back and be sure you set that. So this will make sure that you're not putting any kind of errors in. And again, loss of time where all of a sudden, well, the person signed, but oh, you forgot to sign. It just really kind of avoids a lot of that error kind of going back and forth. So I'm just going to continue just without having to do that. A couple cool things to note here, as you can see, when the document is finally signed, it is going to return back to that shared folder. If I wanted it to go somewhere else, I can choose a different folder if I wanted to. As you can see, I see the signers here. I can add some additional information so they'll see it. I can add an expiration to the signature itself, so they will be reminded before that time they sign it. So I can add that extra layer of security like a passcode. So I can create a simple passcode and I could send that to the client. So a little extra security. And to Stacy's point, we do have knowledge-based authentication. So this does provide another layer of security because it will ask them different personalized information about them to acknowledge they are who they are, say they are. So again, just kind of validates this a lot better. And then additionally, you do have some default options like reminders, like I could set weekly or daily reminders, and additional things here. I can also send everyone an email with the completed PDF so if they have a copy once this is all done, so that this way they have the ability to download it and keep it for retention for themselves. So, but very, very simple. Once that gets sent out, that will go over to John Smith and they will get an email just like I've always shown you here in the past. There we go. There's that notification. And then once they actually click that, that will take them directly into that document to get signed. And as you can see, this is just asking for that some of that complete information, that security information to actually be validated and confirmed. So this is additionally, again, just a very simple way, get an agreement out, validate they are who they are, get that completed, have that initiate back over to the folder so you have it for safekeeping, and then that person also gets a copy of the signed document so they have it for their own records.
There's a question from Joseph. Can we find a copy of the email which was sent to a client for signature?
Got it. Yes. So for the signature piece, you can always come down to the signature section, and you will see this one that, as you saw, that I just sent out. This is the easiest way to be able to review what you sent out. And you could see the status of what's going on and a bit of the activity of what's happening. So when John Smith does get this and sign it, that update, this will update, and when it's completed, that will change. That's the easiest way to go about it. Outside of signatures, if I'm sending any kind of share via email, you always have your inbox section here, and you could go to the sent section and see that you've had sent out different shares, and you can look at those shares by clicking into them. So again, a way of doing that, just if you're looking for shares or if you're looking for signatures, you could click into the signature section and see anything that's pending. Furthermore, you can filter these out. So anything that's in progress, you could see which ones are in progress, or I could just clear the filters and then I can look for ones that are declined or expired, things that didn't get completed.
We have another signature question, which I can answer here too. Christine asked, is there a password required option in the signature portion that we can set up? There is a passcode enablement that you can add to a signature agreement. So in order for them to open the signature agreement to sign it, they would have to put in that passcode. So hopefully that fulfills your need for that.
Yeah, that was that one option right for KBA, which is the passcode. So when you do generate it, it's a unique 4-digit code, I believe, which then you could send it on the side to your client. So when they do get that it's going to prompt that passcode first, and they'll put that passcode in before they can initiate or proceed with the signature. I did forget, Delia. Really good point, because you brought up the CSE, such as myself. If you're our administrator, or actually some employees now may see it, if you do have questions along the busy season, you will look in our resource center over here, which, by the way, has various different things like upcoming other webinars and such. But you may see a contact your success engineer. And if you click that, that's me. I'm a human, as you can see. But you can actually connect with me and fill out a short form to ask any kind of question you may have, or if you're going through and any of the solutions that we showed today you have questions on, you could definitely reach out to us directly. So kind of keep in mind as you're going through that busy season, if you need some additional help. This is unique. I'm not everyone's customer success engineer. I think that'll be a little wild, but you will see, of course, whoever your dedicated customer success engineer is. They'll be pictured here, and we'll be able to connect with you. And again, we are human, so we are not a bot or a drone. Well, again, thank you everybody for joining. I know, again, you're busy on prepping for the next year, but definitely appreciate everyone's time today. Continue to join our webinars. Again, check out that resource center there, or if you just Google ShareFile webinars and events, you'll see our landing page. So sign up for any new ones coming up. But again, appreciate your time. Stacy?
Yeah, we love to connect with all of you as well. I know we've taken down lots of notes to reach out to all of you, but we love to hear your feedback for anything and everything. So thank you for sharing and continue to do so. I appreciate it.
Yep. Everybody, have a great rest of the week.
Bye, guys.